Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Sometimes the biggest ahas you'll get in life and business come from things that others point out that are right in front of you. Now, the magic in that is the fact that typically those individuals are bringing unique experience to the table that allow you to see what was right in front of you the whole time, but you weren't able to see it when it was just you looking at it. What's up, everybody? This is Drew, and I want to welcome you back to Learn How to See Better. It's the only podcast out there that will improve your vision the longer you listen. And in today's episode, I want to talk about a recent aha or recent awakening that I had that came from an experience that I wasn't expecting. And sometimes you wonder if you hear things in life that make you think, does this mean I'm getting old or older? And so this one really ties into the classic phrase that everyone's heard. Anyone of any age has heard this phrase at some point in their life. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Now, first off, as you hear it and take it at its literal face value, I don't even want to think up a AI image for that. That's probably, that might look pretty bad because the idea that someone throws the baby out with the bathwater is unthinkable. But what does that actually mean? It's a figure of speech. We all know that. But if you've ever had an experience that helps you feel this phrase a little bit differently and sense what it could mean, then you realize how it can take on a whole different meaning. So case in point, I had an experience recently where I was getting together with some other business owners and we were talking about some things that we're doing in our businesses to help them grow, essentially masterminding with other entrepreneurs. And one of the things I was sharing was about my own experience and making some adjustments, some enhancements, some transitions. And part of what I shared was giving some backstory about what I was kind of leaving behind and what I was transitioning out of for essentially what I believe to be a better and more impactful opportunity. And so as I talked about this, I wasn't really, bashing what was working well before, but things are different now and looking to put a twist on things and get a different result. And so what I had shared was talking about the nature of the business as far as a service offering and the value being added in the form of done for you services for business owners. And so when I was sharing the idea that there's more impact that I'm looking to have and some changes that I'm looking to make, and part of those changes would be moving away from a done for you model in an ability to be able to do some different things that have to do with scaling and having more positive impact on a larger audience. Part of what was called out to me was something that I had not recognized. What I had not recognized was that the very thing that was allowing the business to get to a point of maturity that I could even look at evolution is not only still worthwhile, still of high value, but also in high demand. High demand. I mean, just think about it for a second. Even if you're not a business owner listening to this, and how many times have you just wanted something done for you? We all have responsibilities. We all have things we need to tend to on a regular basis. It could be dishes. It could be laundry. It could be just maintaining things for your primary profession, getting the expense report into your manager, getting your activity report into the boss to talk about the things that you've been up to add value to the business. So same goes for the business owner. They have different hats they have to wear. They have different things that they have to do. And some of them, they just have to kind of suck it up and deal with. While others, there are abilities to hire out help or potentially get an assistant to outsource some tasks. But at the end of the day, the business owner has to think about what they do that really brings the most value. And if all of a sudden, one of the things that's brought the most value to people and your audience and your customers and your clients, if you just immediately transition away from that or transition away from that so quickly that the audience that's meant to receive those blessings that you have for them, you've completely changed the game up. It's almost as though you've alienated those that are most faithful to you. Now that might be getting a little bit deep with it, but everyone's got a different type of business, and every business ideally unless you're just purely click button transaction-based business, is going to ideally look for some sort of relationship with its customer or its customer base, since every businesses tend to say that they've got an ideal customer. So how can you make that ideal customer the most excited, raving fan that you've got is a part of the asset base for your business? Now, if I'm talking too crazy or too over your head, I'm essentially just saying again, bringing back the aha, that the basis by which you found a lot of value to give people is something you don't necessarily want to abandon as you look to transition, or as you look to, in your personal world, reinvent yourself. So as you start to look at how you go about change, it's not just about how much willpower and how much gusto that you have. There's also a little bit of strategy involved in thinking about who you are. And if you're going to, in some senses, burn it down, you hear that phrase sometimes in business, I'm going to just burn it all down and start fresh. Well, what were the assets that make sense to keep intact? Maybe it's your great personality. Maybe it's your ability to over-deliver. Maybe it's your ability to listen, to see what your client really needs and how you can serve them at a higher level. And so if you abandon that and say, well, I'm going to just I'm going to just get an automated call service that's answered by robots, that's just needs to get the name, the email, and the phone number with no sort of connection to that person, why they're calling, what they're looking for, and how they can best be served. Those are just two examples of big differentiating factors as to how you go about, going to try and expand the realm of what you do. So if you're trying to serve people and you want to expand and serve a larger audience, it doesn't mean that you abandon the faithful few that really got you going. And so looking at that as an aha for me, I think has got to be useful to somebody else out there listening to this. Maybe you own a business and you're saying, yeah, I remember going through that, and you got a good point. Or I'm just starting a business and I hadn't realized that. Thanks for the heads up. You might be just at the point where you're ready to transition and abandon everything and burn it down, and you're saying, wait a minute, I'm listening to the voice of reason here, and essentially recognizing that I might have some powerful things I'm bringing to the table that really just need to be dusted off, shined up, repackaged, remixed, and broadcast a little bit better. Let the world know that you got that greatness available. And so that's kind of what my big takeaway was. So as I look to evolve in my business, the idea of burning it down sounds cool in concept, but at the same time, certain things ought to be fireproof. Certain core elements, especially if your unique value add to your business is essentially who you are and the way you operate. We're not going to burn yourself down. You're just going to look to reinvent yourself. So thinking through a little bit more strategically, and sometimes that comes with guidance. Sometimes you got to get a coach or an advisor or a mentor to kind of lead you through those murky waters, but how valuable. And it gives me something to look at as I continue this process. How do I continue to take something that served me so well and continue to use the energy and the impact power of that and channel that in a new direction, but not leave behind the goodness, if you know what I'm saying. So for any of you out there, you may be going through a similar shift. You might be reinventing yourself in your professional career. Maybe you have responsibilities for a region or a territory or product line, and things change on you in a dime, and there's a reorganization, and all of a sudden you got to do something different. Well, don't forget about your base skill sets. Don't forget about the things that make you an attractive character out of the gate. You might be going through a huge transition in life and have to move to a new part of the country, or to a new country, or adopt a whole new group of people surrounding you. Well, it's still your persona and your essence that, even if you have to manage or adjust how you operate in the new environment, it's still the you that's going to come out that you don't want to leave behind. So in essence, there's a lot of symbolic meaning to the phrase, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You might not want to keep the bathwater around. You want to wash off the old, but that brand new baby, there's so much potential there. There's so much good value. Don't get the two mixed up and toss it all. Keep the good, let go of the bad, and almost with the newness of a baby, give yourself the ability to be kind of reshaped and remolded and adopt some of those new ideas, but keep who you are at your core. So a little bit of a different twist from the message and the takeaway that you thought you might have received from this episode. But yeah, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Take a look at what you're doing and where you're going and how you're getting there. And it might be worthwhile for you to run your game plan past somebody with a lot of experience in that arena. Just to kind of check that flight plan, check those coordinates. Are you flying into a storm or are you leaving sunny skies behind that you could bask in a little bit longer and enjoy as you prepare for the trip ahead? Maybe you let that storm of lack of clarity or uncertainty or ambiguity pass while you enjoy the sunny skies a little bit longer as you plot where you're headed so that you can see better the destination that you're working to get to. Smooth that road, clear that path, and don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So that's what I've got for you this episode, folks. This is your host, Drew Davis. The podcast is Learn How to See Better. It's the only podcast out there that'll improve your vision the longer you listen. And until next time, be sure to share this with a friend or take note of these points I'm trying to poke you with and put them into action. Take care. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one.